Hi, I'm Annabel.
And I'm Mandy.
And welcome to the Collaborate Southwest podcast.
We believe in the ethos of a rising tide lifts all boats. For each episode, we'll be bringing you conversations and insights from the people behind the brightest ideas and innovations from across the Southwest, whatever business or sector that may be.
As well as a few curveballs to make you smile and lift your day.
Join us over the coming weeks.
And please, if you like us, do leave us a 5-star review to let us know we're going in the right direction. Enjoy! Good morning, everyone. We are delighted to welcome Dan Regan to the Collaborate Southwest podcast today. So Dan is Managing Director of Electro Power, co-founder of Moonshine Detailing Products, and founder and director of Refuel. Dan, would you like to tell us a bit more about the different businesses you run?
They're all automotive related because I am a massive petrol head. But I mean, the biggest one really at the moment is Electric Motive Power, and that business has developed a fully electric 10-ton all-terrain commercial vehicle. The primary applications for that being things like agriculture, forestry, quarrying, mining, utilities, things like we would know Western Power and Southwest Water and stuff down here. It's fully electric, so it obviously improves air quality, both local air quality, but air quality around the world. And that is it's a very interesting business. I've only been with it since September 2019. I came in as MD at a very good time. And we're not that far off commercializing the technology, and it's all happening here in Devon. So it's a really exciting journey to be part of. I've certainly enjoyed it so far, and we've got some really exciting stuff to come. And we're based up just off Junction 28, Cullompton, so just north of Exeter. And the other businesses, Refuel and Moonshine, they're sort of inextricably linked. Moonshine is part of Refuel. Now, Refuel's a cars and coffee venue, which basically means we get about 700-800 cars turn up once a month. It's everything from your 1920s and your 1930s vintage cars, right the way through to modern day supercars. You get your Lamborghinis, Ferraris, and everything in between, all of your classics and your rally cars and everything. And everyone just turns up, has a cup of coffee, has something to eat, has a bit of a chat. It's really good for meeting old friends, new. I've even seen quite a lot of networking and stuff go on, which is quite cool. Not originally what it was intended for, but it's lovely to see. So yeah, that business is growing really well, and we're based at the moment up at Mansell Raceway, Dunk as well, just outside Honiton. But our long-term vision is to actually have our own dedicated venue just outside Exeter, which is progressing well at the moment. So in a nutshell, that's the big business. I've sort of missed Moonshine, haven't I? Which is very very amiss of me. And my commercial director Josh would be very upset. So Moonshine's a really cool one. We realised that there's an industry called detailing, which is basically washing your car. It's washing and valeting your car. It's called detailing, and it's a huge industry. You've got all the big players like Autoglim, Maguire's, Auto Finesse, but they all use plastic bottles. So it's a lot of plastic waste. We calculated it's hard, but we calculated roughly 51 Olympic-sized swimming pools every year that are filled with plastic waste. Wow. Just from the car detailing world, that goes into, of course, landfill. It ends up in our oceans, and so we thought, well, we're a very small fish in a big sea. Excuse the pun, but let's see if we can do something about it. And so yeah, our Moonshine detailing products, they're all in glass bottles, they're all refillable, and it's all about refilling, reusing, and recycling them. So we've got a refill model where, funnily enough, you when you come to Refuel, you can buy your Moonshine, and then every month back you can get your refill. But we're working on a UK network at the moment. We're trying to build that up of resellers and refill stations, so that we can hopefully sort of start to change that industry a bit. And a couple of people have said to us, well, surely Autoglim or Maguire's will just start doing glass bottles, and then again, small fish in a big sea. But honestly, I welcome that. I would love to see one of the big players moved to glass bottles because we did what we did. And I'm sure that it probably wouldn't do our brand any harm at all to be known as the first business that moved to glass bottles. So yeah, that's the businesses in a nutshell.
Oh, thank you. So petrol really does run through your veins then, for sure.
Yeah, and now apparently electric motors as well. Yeah, with the truck. It's a strange one, being a massive petrol head. Yeah, it is odd being so involved in electric vehicles. But it's innovation. I love innovation. It's what drives us forward as the human race, isn't it? So yeah, a petrol head and an electro head now as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, like, for a petrol head, I just love the way that all your businesses have this huge eco and sustainability kind of thread that runs through them. I think that's really, really good.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's something we try really hard to do, because it's something that I think you need to think about that in anything you do now. Like I said, I love innovation, but I do feel that sometimes you can find innovation for innovation's sake, and it's not good enough anymore. Just innovation on its own isn't good enough anymore. It needs to be more thought through than that. We need to be thinking about what we're creating for the generations of the future. So yeah, sustainability, it's a big part of all of our brands. We try and embed it in everything we do. Yeah.
And I'm sure when we come on to what we're going to be discussing today, that will come out that we're going to be talking about taking risks in business, and I'm sure with all the different strands to your businesses that has obviously been an element and a part of running businesses. So we're going to be looking at how you analyze them and manage them and how they can benefit your business. So Dan, what's the biggest risk you've ever taken, and did it result in the rewards that you'd hoped?
I had to have a think about this one. I think the biggest risk that I've taken in recent years was probably when I left Lightfoot, when I left Ashwood's Lightfoot, because I left there as the head of innovation. It's a great business. We'd grown it over 7 years, and it was really fast-paced growth as well. And my background had been in engineering, and working closely with the directors there, I've obviously developed my management skills. I was lucky enough to be able to build and head up multiple departments there. It was a huge growth curve for me personally. And when I left there, I was ready for something bigger, but I wasn't sure what it was going to be. And I think the risk that I took is I didn't go looking for another job. So I left, what was a really cool job in a really cool company. And I had no sort of plan for exactly what it was that I was going to do next. And rather than going out there and looking for a new job, the thing that would pay my mortgage and put food in my fridge, I started Refuel because it's something that I was just passionate about and had always wanted to do. And of course knew it wasn't going to be profitable. And any profits that I did weren't going to be profitable in the short term, and certainly for a while. And any profits that it did generate, of course, I'd have to reinvest. So yeah, I spent my days building that rather than looking for a new job. So that did feel quite risky. But before I did all of that, I had put out a post on LinkedIn, just basically saying that I'd left Lightfoot, and it had lots of engagement. There was loads of people that I'd worked with in the past, lots of fantastic people from the Devon business community, which I'm sure you guys would know most of them, and people listening would know most of them. And all I said in the post really was that what I just said to you. I've left Lightfoot. I don't really know what I'm up to next, but whatever it is, I really want it to be something that I'm really passionate about. And I must admit, there were nights that I sat there on my sofa without a job, having worked all day for, investing my time in my own business, but for no money. And I thought, have I gone a bit mad? I've left my job. I'm doing something that isn't going to be profitable for a while, and I've put a post out on the internet telling people don't bother contacting me unless it's something that's really cool. And I think, yeah, maybe I've gone a bit nuts.
That's a mantra to live by, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm so glad I did it, because it's brought me to the place that I'm at today, which I love. I'm part of a really, really exciting business in electric motive power that is going to change the world, and it's happening right here in this county. That's amazing. And sometimes I do have to pinch myself a bit. And I've got a few other really, really good businesses with hopefully promising futures ahead of them, that seem to have generated a big buzz in the automotive community in the Southwest, a big following. So yeah, it's really exciting. And it just came about from, I guess, just being a little bit ballsy and maybe a bit
brave. Yeah.
And that's something that kind of really resonates, I think, with Annabel and I. It's like that when you said, I started a business, I had absolutely no idea what it was going to be. And that standing on the edge of kind of feeling scary, but it's like, it's got to be passion-led. My God, I get goosebumps because I absolutely remember those conversations with Annabel. How are we going to pay the mortgage?
Yeah, absolutely. It can totally resonate with you with that, Dan. It's I'd never done that before either. So this is definitely one of the biggest risks, but the most rewarding thus far. So I think you have to go with trust your gut, haven't you? I think is the key with it. So that's fantastic to hear that it's going so well and a positive note, and all those other things that have come out of it, like the electromotive power and everything. That's just like you say, really shining a light on what you're doing, is really shining a light on Devon and projecting that out to the world, that the Southwest is a region to respect and admire. And there are so many cool, amazing businesses that people don't always know about. So thank you, because I think it's really important that we all invest in our region.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, like you said, we're one of many. There's so much great stuff going on down here. There's businesses. There's one in particular comes to mind called De Gould, run by a guy called Dan Gould, and he's developed some really, really cool technology, all to do with imaging of vehicles, used for what they call pre-delivery inspections with manufacturers of vehicles, and going into airport car parks and things. Dan's machines are there taking photos of your car when you go into long-term car parks. And that's all been developed with some really clever algorithms and stuff, again, right here in Devon. And it's stuff that, it's a global business. And that's, I could honestly, I could go on for hours talking about all the businesses. I think it's one of the, not very many things, but I guess it's one of the things I do get on my soapbox a little bit about, that people do still see Devon as, that sleepy corner of the UK. And there is so much great stuff going on down here. There really is, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. And just from the previous job I was doing and now this, the people that I'm meeting, it's just incredible. You think the Devon business community, like you say, but there are so many exciting and interesting people to talk to that you come across, which is just brilliant. Doing innovative, creative, amazing projects all across the region. So yeah, very exciting. So that kind of leads me to, do you get a buzz from taking risks? Do you think that can help you, or does it hinder you? Do you think, could you get kind of adrenaline off that kind of feeling of taking a risk, or do you think it makes the process easier, or could it blinker your vision, do you think?
Yeah, definitely an excitement and a buzz from taking risks, but yeah, rather than it being careless risks, or rather than that buzz blinkering my vision and causing me to take careless risks, I think it more facilitates necessary risk taking, the sort of risk taking that you need to do to move forward. by that buzz sort of balancing out the natural inbuilt apprehension that all of us have to taking risk. And I think perhaps rather than it being sort of an adrenaline buzz of having taken the risk, if it makes sense, I think it's more the buzz from the positive mindset that comes with accepting the risk of failure. Because once you've accepted the risk of failure, I think you do develop this really positive mindset of, it's fine to fail. It's cool to fail. We all need to fail. So let's go out there and fail at stuff, and maybe succeed at some stuff too, and have a jolly good time while we're doing it. And I think that's the buzz really. It's the buzz from the positive mindset that comes with accepting that risk of failure, I think. And yeah, it helps me. I think it helps. And I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on that one as well, because you like you just said, you're in a similar position at the moment in terms of a young business, having both taken and setting it up. I mean, I presume you feel similar, that you obviously get a buzz out of taking risks. I can tell from the passion that you talk about Collaborate Southwest with.
Yeah, I really struggled in the beginning. I have this it's like you're saying about accepting failure, and I'm not very good at that, and I want to succeed, and I struggle to accept that, failure is part of that process. So I went through quite a traumatic period of like trying to work out that it was going to all be okay, whatever happened, but I had to take that leap of faith from going from a paid job to not being paid. And Mandy really, really helped me with that personally, and I couldn't have done it without her. So it took me quite a while, but do you know what? I have learned to, and this sounds really simple and basic, but to enjoy the process as well, really enjoy it. Instead of being terrified and anxious, just enjoy whatever. Mandy and I are learning all different things, and we're like you. I'm sure in your business, you've had to learn a lot of new skills, things that don't maybe come naturally to you
every day.
Exactly, and we're doing the same things, and I'm slowly learning to enjoy that, even if it absolutely terrifies me.
And I think what you said earlier, Dan, was really important. It's not the buzz that comes just from taking the risk for risk's sake. It's the buzz that comes from the outcome. And I've set up several businesses now, and I think that's the biggest thing I've learned, because I actually love the feeling of starting a business. I think it's the most exciting feeling in the whole world. And you can get a little bit addicted to that adrenaline of, oh my god, look, it's all new, it's all different, it's all shiny. And to separate that, which comes with age or wisdom or maybe both, who knows, it's like, okay, this risk is going to lead to this outcome, and that's the buzz, not just the, oh, let's jump on the roller coaster because it feels like fun. I think that's really important. And the second one that's really like important for me that you said several times already now is, if it's passion led and if it's soul based, then the risk doesn't even feel like a risk. It's like, I'm going to do this because it's going to be okay, and that is different to just risk taking.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And it's going to be okay whether it's a success or a failure, because they're both ways forward. If it's a success, then fantastic, you've achieved it. If it's a failure, then you've learned something, and that drives you forward as well. So I think it's okay no matter what the outcome. And like you say, Mandy, there is a buzz from knowing that whatever the outcome, it's all going to be fine.
And also it's taking that responsibility yourself, isn't it? It's all on you, or you and your business partners. So it's just kind of owning that as well, and going, do you know what, I will be okay because I'm investing my time, my vision, even if it doesn't go the way I want it to. Like you say, you're learning, but you're not looking to someone else necessarily it's down to you, and you're responsible for it.
Yeah.
Which is a nice feeling as well. So that again neatly segues into how important is it for you to have a sounding board when considering risk? Are there people around you that you talk to, either friends or business partners, or do you go solely on your gut instinct and go, no, this is the way, or do you work with others?
Well, obviously gut instinct is a big part of it, but you know, you can miss things, can't you? Especially when there's so much going on. So yeah, I mean, sounding boards are absolutely invaluable. I mean, honestly, the external perspective from especially people that know me well is so important to me. And what do they say? No man or woman is an island. And so, yeah, I'd be lost without them. And that's both from you know, in a business and a personal environment. You know, I've got friends and family that I'll bounce things off. I've got some fantastic co-directors in Josh and George and Bruce with Electric Motive Power, and yeah, you know, I have to bounce things off them all the time. I do think it's important if you're an ambitious and a driven person, to have people around you who will challenge you and question you. And when you run into the office in the morning because you had an idea at 3 a.m, and you come into the office, you go, right, I've had this fantastic idea. You know, you bounce it off them, and sometimes everyone lights up with excitement and can't wait to make it happen. And other times they look at you and say, what were you smoking last night? and sort of, you know, question your latest and greatest idea. And it's important that those people around you are people that not only challenge you, but they're really honest with you. They're people that you respect, so that you actually listen to them. So yes, yeah, that's a very long way of saying yes, absolutely.
I think as well, it's having people that are very different around you as well. Different in terms of their skills, their weaknesses, their personality traits, because we were chatting to someone the other day, and it's very easy in the recruitment process to if you're recruiting within your business, to go for people who are very like you. And actually it's far better to have people who are different, and you can respect and trust those people still, but they're just very different. So I think, yeah, that's also quite key.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think with Refuel in particular, I'm very lucky with my 2 co-directors, because we're all different. We're 3 very different people, and our 3 sort of blends of skills, and our 3 different mindsets and the way that we work. They work really, really well together. You know, Josh is a big can-do person. He'll just make stuff happen in a second, because he's really, really proactive. Whereas, you know, George, on the other hand, he's a bit more pensive. He stops and thinks and sort of analyzes the risk and thinks about what might go wrong, and sort of helps you mitigate for those risks if you're going to do it. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can really relate to that, and it is really important to have those different types of people around you.
Yeah,
and like you say, it's too easy to pick people that you like because they're similar.
Yeah, I know. And then you just have little carbon copies of yourself, which is no good, is it?
Yeah. And the morning that you walk into the office with the world's best idea that turns out to be the worst, because you've got everyone around you the same as you. Everyone goes, yes, let's do that. And might not be the best of plans.
No, absolutely. So do you have an algorithm in your head that you use to analyze and measure? What's your kind of measuring tool when you are calculating a risk, and at what point does it become too risky? You go, no, that we can't do that because there's too much at stake.
Yeah, that's quite a complicated question in some ways, isn't it? Because there's so many different elements to the equation.
Yeah, and it depends on the risk and everything. I know.
It does, yeah. But I think, you know, we've already mentioned one of them. You know, gut instinct is a big part of deciding whether to take a risk. And I think a lot of the time, I think over the years become better and forced myself at just letting that gut feel take over. Because I think, you know, as you get older, I think your gut is more tuned into past experiences. Whereas, you know, when you're younger, your gut can probably lead you astray a little bit more. So I'm learning to trust that gut instinct more and more. And you know, I'm only 36, so I'm sure that I'll continue to learn to trust it more as I grow older. But I think in terms of managing risk, there's a big difference between sort of instinctual risk taking and managing risk, isn't there? Because the instinctual risk taking, I think if an opportunity arises, personally, I rarely sort of overanalyze it or overthink it. I use that gut feeling when deciding whether to commit or pass up. Of course, like we said, sort of bounce it off a few people around me. But I think that's very different to, you know, once you've committed to that risk and you're more in sort of, I guess, you know, like the project environment, I guess you'd call it, you've already committed, you're doing the thing. You know, that changes things a lot, because then there's a lot more thought that goes into it, isn't there? You're then properly managing the risk. You've taken the risk, and now's the time to make sure that you're managing and minimizing the risk properly, and I guess weighing up the odds of success in your favor. So I guess, yeah, two answers to that question. One, yeah, very instinctive in terms of whether I accept the risk, but then once you've gone over that hurdle, yeah, it does become a lot more in depth and more towards, you know, like you say, is some sort of algorithm.
Yeah.
And generally, because of my project management background, it's all, you know, I will.
So you're pretty methodical.
Yeah, whether it's in my head or whether it's a proper risk assessment, depending, again, like you say, the circumstances, and you weigh up the risk. And, you know, especially with a lot of young businesses at the moment, and a lot of it is around financial risk, because you've not got a lot of bandwidth there. So yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, it does, yeah.
And also, I think, yeah, gut instinct is huge in calculating whether you want to go with it. But closely behind that is like whether or not you can put a bit of an instant plan. And Annabel's really, really great at being the plan. And we'll come up with ideas, and it's like there's no plan around it. It's like, well, that's really probably not the most clever of ideas then. Whereas if there seems to be a pretty good pathway and a pretty good plan, you're not going to mitigate for everything, but then you're like, okay, there's the first stepping stone. That feels like a good one to step on. I think that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, very, very true. So obviously you're very busy with multiple projects and businesses, and so do they cross collaborate? Do they work in silo, or do they benefit from working together at all?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, Moonshine and Refuel work really closely together, because, you know, we generated this community in Refuel, which we now tap into with Moonshine, and it gives people somewhere to buy the products, to go and refill their products. It gives us a platform to shout about what was, you know, a brand new brand that nobody knew about. So yeah, there's a lot of collaboration there, and they work really well together. I guess electric motive power, not so much with my other businesses, but probably a better example of collaboration in a lot of ways. You know, electric motive power, we work with the University of Bath, and I know we've had conversations before about collaboration in between industry and academia, and that's such an important one to us, because obviously it is collaboration. They're not, you know, a supplier to us, because we get a lot of value out of it. For example, you know, we work with the University of Bath. They do all our simulations, all our vehicle simulations, so that we can work on our control strategy for the vehicle. We can work out, you know, the energy flow around the vehicle, how to make it, to optimize it for the best efficiency. And we get a lot out of that, because obviously it's developing our product, it's developing our technology. But Bath get a lot out of it as well, because, you know, they've got you know, young but highly intelligent students that are gaining knowledge. They're working in a real world environment. They then get to go away and write papers on that. They get to go to conferences and talk about what they've done. You know, it gives them something really tangible to go out there into the real world and talk about, and the university as a body as well. It gives the university things to shout about, to draw new students in. So and that's something that we've done a lot Ashwood's Electric Motors and Ashwood's Lightfoot as well. We'd worked with again Bath a lot, similar sort of dynamic. So that, I think that's a really good example of collaboration. It's certainly of great value to us, and I would like to see a lot more of it. I'd like to work a lot more closely with Exeter University. I went to Exeter myself. It's a fantastic uni, and being right on their doorstep, I think perhaps we need to strike up a relationship with them as well.
Yeah, that's something we're definitely working towards, and we'd be very keen to do that as well, and support the students coming out so that we can retain, like yourself, retain the talent in the city and the region, as opposed to going out and across to other areas of the country, because as we've said and we're reiterating, this is a great place to live and work. So and there are some fantastic students at the uni that we would really want to keep in the region. So yeah, we'd be very keen to move forward with that. So watch this space.
It's one of the things that I'm really excited about what you guys are doing at Collaborate Southwest, and I'm really excited about your vision, the fact that you don't yet have all the answers, but we're all on the journey, sort of seeing it take shape, which is awesome. But I do really think tying different parts of this conversation together, we've already talked about all the amazing businesses down here. We can all come together greater than the sum of our individual parts, power the Southwest. But bringing that academia angle in is going to be really important. And yeah, it's definitely one of the things that I'm excited about you guys working on and achieving.
Yeah.
Oh,
big shout out to Francis at Set Squared, because we've already had a meeting around exactly this. So yeah, as Annabel says, watch this space.
That hot off the press.
Yeah. We're also, as part of this series, we're going to be talking to Kareem as well, CEO of Exeter City Council. So we will be quizzing him on things like that, with how we collaborate with not only locally but across sectors and across regions and everything. So yeah, watch out for that one.
Oh, fantastic! Well, then that's it's a great guy to have on board. Yeah, I've got a lot of time for him. He's fantastic, isn't he?
Yeah, amazing. Very very dynamic and inspirational to hear. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too.
So if you just had one message for others about taking risks, what would it be? What would your wisdom, impart your wisdom to us?
My one message to people would just be, don't let fear paralyze your decisions. I guess it's a bit of a cliche, but when you get to the end of the life, you won't regret the things that you tried and failed. You'll regret the things that you were too scared to do. So go out there, fail at stuff. Like I said earlier, go out there, fail at stuff, succeed at some stuff too, and have fun while you're doing it. And if anyone out there thinks they could be better at taking risks and seizing opportunity, there's a great book I read once by Susan Jeffers called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. That's a fantastic book. I've
heard of that. Yeah, I've not read it, but I've heard of that. Pop it in the book channel.
I certainly will. I certainly will.
And I've got a couple of curveballs for you.
Oh, excellent.
So obviously, as we've been discussing, we are Collaborate Southwest. We're all about cross-sector collaborations and working with people to generate business and opportunities and conversations. So going down a slightly different route, what's your favourite musical collaboration? Who do you like in music that
Oh wow. Okay. Historically, if I had to go back, I think, am I allowed to choose two? Because I can't choose.
Yeah, of course you can. You can have as many.
David Bowie and Queen.
Yeah.
That was a fantastic collaboration. And then fast forwarding quite a few years, Jay-Z and Linkin Park did an amazing album when I was younger that I just couldn't get enough of. So and both, I think really really powerful collaborations music wise. I mean, the Jay-Z and Linkin Park album, two very different styles of music coming together. So
that's very different. Yeah.
yeah. So I think, you know, in maybe a really weird way, you could draw some comparisons to how you don't actually have to be very similar in business or thinking to collaborate. Yeah. If there's a message to be taken away from Jay-Z and Linkin Park, I'm sure it's what they intended when they wrote the album.
Absolutely. He is my my life god. I look to him. It's not Bay. It's always Jay. And last question, Dan. I promise. What's your favourite cheese? I want to know this of everyone I meet.
Oh, my favourite cheese.
This is when you turn around and say, I don't like cheese.
I do love cheese, which makes it a really difficult question. I do like a good Stilton. A really strong, like, vintage cheddar. I know it's a bit boring cheddar, really, isn't it?
No. Don't underestimate cheddar.
Yeah.
No, if it's a good one.
I'm definitely missing out all sorts of awesome Swiss cheeses and stuff. But yeah, no, I think it would be difficult to choose favourites. You've just cast me right back to about a year ago when I walked into which market was it in London? It might have been Spitalfields. And there was this amazing cheese stand. I felt like I was in heaven. Seriously, you're making me hungry now.
Sorry, you can make a cheese toast now. Colston Bassett is really good Stilton. That's the bad boy Stilton.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that your favourite cheese?
No. Well, as a kid, I liked Holy cheese, which was what I called Emmental, which I loved. But my favourite cheese is a really like melting on the plate brie.
Ooh, yeah. Good choice.
What about you, Mandy?
Oh, I'm vintage cheddar all the way. Boring and predictable, but every time you bite it, there's a different flavour to be had.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much, Dan. That has been really. I hope you enjoyed it. I've loved it, and I'm sure Mandy has too. It's been great to hear your takes on risks and what it means to you and about all your businesses. So thank you very much for your time. And
thank you very much for having me. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah. It's been a good laugh. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, it's been brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening.
We really hope you enjoyed, and if you've got any insights or you'd like us to feature you in a future episode,
please do get in touch.
Oh, and don't forget the 5 stars if you liked us.
Bye!